And good morning, everyone, and welcome to I Association Live. Got a great day, beautiful day versus last week. My name's Aaron Harrell, Kurt Simic, both board members, and we've got the executive director of the I Association, Brian Brodsey, here with us. Brian, thanks so much for taking the time here.
Man, good morning, gentlemen.
What a beautiful morning.
It is so nice to be here and to be participating in what is really the coolest thing that's come along to the I Association in a long time. I really appreciate your
glasses or this. So that's the coolest thing going on right there.
That's right.
I really appreciate Hoosier Live and what you guys are doing, I Association Live. It's wonderful.
Yeah, no, we can't thank you enough for giving us permission to do it right here outside Assembly Hall and Memorial Stadium. It's such a great little venue.
It bore fruit right away with that, what you guys did with the Rose Bowl. That was amazing.
That was so much fun. It was really special. And as the stories piled up, it just got
better.
Yeah,
it just got better and better. But speaking of Brian Brodsey, 1982 graduate.
Right, I was on the 5-year plan. I should have been class of '81, but
I was on that same 5-year plan here myself. And
I recommend it for anybody.
That's right.
But yeah, class of '82 business school. I went half-heartedly through business placement. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, so I ended up without a job after 5 years of school. And then I decided to go to graduate school, and I changed my course to Hyper, and I was trying to do sport management or sport administration because Indianapolis at the time was becoming the amateur sports capital of the world, and I thought there would be all these opportunities up there. And that was my dream, was to kind of waltz back to town and get a job in the sports business. That didn't work out, but it's been a great career leading up to what I'm doing now.
That's right. At the end, it did. You know, you're here at Indiana University, track and field star, right?
Yeah. The farther I get away from it, the more of a star I was. I guess my accolade with track was I ended up being a team captain my senior year, co-captain, and I ran the 400 hurdles, and my PR was 51.73, which is okay, but it ended up being on the top 10 list for 35 years until 2 years after I started working here. I got bumped off the list finally. They were nice about it. They said, we apologize, but these things are very gentle. These things are meant to happen.
Now our paths crossed as ADs in about 1999 when you ran the state cross country meet. We were kind of peripheral help, but you were the meet director. But I think I saw you run at Hayward Field.
Oh wow!
When Coach Bell brought the Hoosiers to run against the Ducks, were you in that? You were in that meet, right?
I was in that meet, and I ran the 400 hurdles and the 4x4.
And it came down to the 4x4, as I recall.
4x4. I led off and had a pretty terrible leg, but it came down to Nate Lundy and this great Oregon runner named David Mack. And they just went shoulder to shoulder all the way around the track, and I think they split like 45 something. But Mac got the lean and Oregon got the win. But that was a lifetime memory for sure. And that's what the I Association really is all about. It's it's one thing to graduate from a school or a college, but it's a whole nother thing to graduate having been on a team, because it's the teammates that create most of what become your lifetime memories. And that's what is the cohesion of the I Association. That's what really holds us together, is the fact that we were teammates at one time, and it's the teammates that get together, and especially the teammates that had a great experience while they were here on the team. You guys know sports very well. It's not always a great experience when you're on a team, and it's those guys that are hard to get back to a reunion. If you had a coach that wasn't successful or wasn't necessarily popular, if you had a losing record, if things went that way, you see that the groups that come together and stay together are ones that had a beloved coach like Hobie or Doc or Coach Bell or Bill Mallory. You could go down the list, Bobby Knight. Or you had great success. And in most instances, if you have a great coach, it's usually have both, right? You have somebody that you love and look up to and never forget, and then you also have this great team life where you're winning and competing, and it's just all good.
Yeah, the one thing that I always look back on, and playing golf was a little different. Not a, people call that a non-athletic sport, but looking back, what was the teammates? I had great teammates that pushed me along to always get better, and then looking back, you're right. Those were the best memories. Was your teammates, and that's what the I Association is all about bringing those teammates and all those people back together that we saw last week.
Right. Last week we had guys coming back after 55 years. And so when you say Hoosiers for life or teammates for life, the proof's in the pudding right there. I mean, 55 years later, these guys are still hanging tight.
Yeah, and you had 40, over 40 come
Right,
back, which is unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
And even speaking along those lines, last night was special. And we found the conversations are the same the more we do it. Other places don't do it like we do. People can't be doing it just like this is special. And I think it was Randy Whitman last night who ended up part of it saying 35 years in the NBA, this is a special place. He wants his family to be exposed to this and be a part of it. So this doesn't just happen everywhere, and you can't overstate that.
Or you can't. Thanks for bringing up the award show. I think it's just steeped in tradition, and I think the ceremony that we do is the same ceremony that they did in 1953, and it just carries over and on. And one of the great things I love about that is the past recipients that come back and are part of the audience and make the audience a very, very special group because they're elite in their own way. And I was very pleased with the way it went last night.
Well, awesome. Yeah, our goal is to have as many award winners that we can on today.
Yeah.
But what's the best thing about being the director of the Eye Association?
Well, gosh, man, it's
it's all good, right?
It's all good.
All roses, right?
It's event planning and management. It's membership management. We've got this whole new thing with the Hoosier Athlete Network that I think we could talk about, which is our online engagement platform that I think we're using a pretty good effect now. We were able to promote this weekend and what we're doing through that, and then it creates a networking opportunity. So that's added to my job. It's great being the director of the Eye Association because we're bringing people together, and we're bringing people together for the best of cause and just to keep loyal to the Hoosiers. And one of the great changes that have come about with the Eye Association is that we've really fully become part of the athletic department now. So it's like we're a department within the athletic department. And it's made a terrific difference and in the day-to-day. And the importance of the Eye Association is not just based on tailgate season or our awards programs, but it really carries over the entire year now.
Right.
Especially with our ability to go online and reach people in a virtual way.
Yep. And you guys do a lot of reunions. I know you got one coming up for softball, correct? And then
women's soccer.
Women's soccer, and had one last week for the Rose Bowl team.
Right.
So for those of you out there that are on the Athlete Network that watch this, at some point, get on that Athlete Network daily, weekly.
Right. We try to keep it fresh. It's a challenge sometimes, but I think we're going to really have a lot to say about this upcoming softball reunion, celebrating the 50th season of varsity softball at Indiana. Even though their season went way before that, we have women coming back from the 60s who played softball in a club setting, but they're part of the alumni base and are at home with that. But I think there's a lot of excitement around the softball team right now. Coach Stanton and her staff, Gabby Jenkins in particular, are doing a wonderful job promoting this reunion and making it an important part of their program this year.
Right. And I think you got to talk about your staff as well. I know they're sitting right back here.
Right.
Let me see if I can get them. They're sitting there checking people in right now. But
Terry Beatty is a pretty amazing assistant, and she's been with the university for 35 years, and her list of bosses is like an all-star. I mean, how did I get so lucky? But most recently, she was Fred Glass's assistant for the past 9-10 years. And when Scott transitioned into the role, he thought that we would be able to use Terry's great institutional wisdom and knowledge to help the Eye Association, and man, has it ever. And I told her last night, what this dinner has missed and what we have now. And I go, I don't want to sound like a chauvinist, but this has a woman's touch, and it really is. It's really a lot nicer. It's nicer, and so I was really pleased with the way it turned out.
Well, it was a family atmosphere, and you can say it all you want, pay lip service, so it's a family. This is a family. When you find those people coming back year after year, we must have had 12, 15 former award recipients.
Yeah.
And the fact that they feel obligated to come back and support all, and whether it's in the name of Leanne Grotke, who was a pioneer and touched so many lives, or anyone who's ever been in the history,
Right.
you know, Zora Clevenger, anything like that. It's a family thing, and it's special.
Right, it is special, and you're right. I think I said it. That's my favorite part of the night is the past recipients who come back and make the audience what it is. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, and going back to that award ceremony, those past recipients, why don't we tell everybody what the Clevenger? I know there's stories out there where they can read, but you know this might be an idea. But talk about the Clevenger Award and what it is.
Well, it was brought about by the Men's Association and named after a real transforming figure in our sports history, just based on the longevity of his tenure and the time that he was in. He was athletic director at IU, and that's Zora Clevenger, also a student athlete while he was here. The Clevenger Award is just someone who renders service back to IU athletics, and does so in a noble way, and has lifetime achievements. And it's a very special award. If you look down the list of people that have won it before, you can see just how special it is. And this year, to give it to Randy Whitman as an example, Randy has become very present in Coach Woodson's basketball program, and I think before that he was instrumental in the triumphant return of Coach Knight. He was right in the heart of that. And then I think he helped Coach Woodson transition into the job. And now I guess he's on staff as a consultant.
Oh, really?
Helping. So that was revealed last night. So that's exciting. But so that's the type of service rendering back to the university that you win that. And then Joe Huff is one of the varsity club's most ardent supporters. And there are other ways to give back, but Joe, of course, is very enthusiastic. He's a great Hoosier fan, and he's got a great spirit, and he really exemplifies what a Clevenger Award winner should be. So, I'm just so happy that I was here to see that. It's
awesome.
wonderful.
And then you move on to the Leanne Grotke, award
Right,
as
Grotke
well.
Award came about 2007 when the I Women merged with the I Men to form the I Association. It was deemed that a similar award should be there for the I Women, of course. And so Leanne Grotke, first true athletic administrator at IU, she carried over from the club and intramural days, and was then attached herself to the athletic department. And so the award is named after her. We're looking for the same ideals. Service rendered back, noble life, full of achievement. And this year, for the first time ever, we awarded it at the same time to sisters, Linda Batorf and Terry Fancher, the Batorf sisters from New Haven, Indiana, both early kind of pioneer women, pre-Title IX athletes in basketball and golf for Linda. Terry famously was also a red stepper.
That's right.
She's having a real.
We're going to talk about that if we can get her on
we
here.
We will, I'm sure.
She's just arriving right now.
That's good. Well, Terry's taken a real victory lap this fall because immediate past president of the I Association, Grotke Award winner, and then at homecoming she'll be celebrating 2 50-year anniversaries, red steppers, and letter winners. So. I told her I'd shuttle her around back and forth to all the different parties she needs to go to. But both Terry and Linda exemplify all those qualities that we want, love for school and just service back. And we're so happy that we were able to award them at the same time.
That's awesome.
And one of the other, of course, our other honoree was former faculty representative Kurt Zorn, and he had a unique story because that's for a non-IU alum.
Right. He did have a unique story, and again, the Orwig Award list of recipients is equally as impressive as the Clevenger list. But Bob Knight, Herman Wells, Nick Hipskin, Marshall Goss, the people that were there last night, and Bruce Jaffe. I think it became a tradition that once you retired as the faculty athletic rep, that award was yours if you were not an Indiana University grad. Otherwise, it would be the honorary I award that you would
Right,
receive
right.
in place of the Orwig. Another great athletic director for that. And then Kurt is just is a brilliant man, an economist. He's really got an interesting take. Is he going to come and talk to you guys today?
I'm not quite sure. We didn't quite get a chance to confirm.
Well, if he does, you could ask him what he thinks the future of NCAA sports are. He's got an amazing take on things. He's a brilliant man.
All right. Well, I know you got a lot going on today, and we don't want to take you away from the duties of being the director on this beautiful Saturday morning. But we can't thank you enough for everything that you do for Indiana University, the Eye Association.
You guys are my buddies, and again, I can't tell you how exciting this Eye Association Live is, and just the potential that it has, and the fact that you guys are just donating it. It's amazing. So thank you.
And you are Mr. Content. You're among the leaders in the Athlete Network content creators on a national level. So we're ranking pretty high. Your impressions of that? You got to be proud of that because you single-handedly launched that.
Well, thank you. You know, it's nice that they also, amongst your peer institutions, they do kind of make it a competition. And so that is something that after we fall off, I'm like, dang, what did I do wrong this month? You know, but I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, we've looked at. There's a QR code link here that you can get on the network. We're promoting it to anybody that's not on there. It's kind of like LinkedIn, but just for our select group of Eye Association members. So we'll see what's going on. But you guys have a great day.
All right, you too. Thanks so much for everything.
Thank you.
You got it.
Appreciate it, Brian. Thank you.
And we're going to take a short break. We'll be back with hopefully Terry Fancher. But again, everybody, thanks so much for watching. We'll be back.
We are live.
Yes, we are. And again, everybody, just want to thank everybody for watching. And let's see here. What do I need to do? And now, immediate past president of the Eye Association and Grotke Award winner, Terry Fancher. Terry,
Good morning.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Allen County has given us a lot of gifts over the history of it. Not the least of which you and your sister.
Thank you.
And we were just talking with Brian about the family atmosphere and the whole spirit of last night, but that carries over. That's a reflection of the whole spirit we have.
Yes.
What's your take? Why is that?
The spirit. With IU, all of us love IU, and that I think is part of our spirit. and especially with the Eye Association Board, I think all of us just love Indiana. It comes below, the top 3, and then number 4 is love for IU, and that spills into everything. It's, as the Eye Association motto is, binding the past with the present, and we want to do that.
And as you mentioned last night, we would be remiss if we did not always remember these things. Phil Westphal, maybe the embodiment of that sort of spirit, passionate, loyal, and just. I hope that we carry on. We represent his spirit all the time in what we do. So, remembering him fondly as you did last night.
Yes.
So.
Yes, somebody last night said, "Wouldn't Phil love this last night? He just would have been bouncing
He would've
around."
loved it. He would have loved it.
Yeah, Phil was such a wonderful person and such a great friend, and taught me many things. And his love for IU was wonderful. You've heard me say before, we would go to the women's basketball game up in Purdue. We went to swimming and diving. We would go to soccer. It was, "Hey, Phil, you want to go to this?" And it's like, "Sure, when you picking me up?" Or he'd say, "I'll pick you up." And
he certainly did tell those Tennessee Volunteers where we stood, didn't he, down at the Gator Bowl? That was Hoosier passion if I've ever seen it. And also along those same lines, we had the Dickens boys earlier, and that was a reunion, the first one without Ted Smith. And Ted, not only varsity club board and all that stuff, was another one of those icons.
Yes.
So, and you're an icon too.
Oh,
Yes, you are.
thank you.
President.
Yes, you are.
Thank you.
And speaking of Terry here, we're going to go over some history of you. 1972-73, played on the women's basketball team
Yes.
that made it to the Final Four, the AIAW Final Four, excuse me. And also, as Brian said, a founding member of the Marching 100 Red Steppers.
Yes.
And you've got the dual 50-year.
I do.
I hate to bring that up, but you've got that coming up.
I do, yes.
Like he said, he's going to have a golf cart just for you, so you can make it back and
It
forth.
should be a
to
float.
everybody.
It needs to be a float.
It is, yes. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a very busy evening and very busy Saturday. And I guess I will say, nowadays athletics, for our athletes, it's a full-time job. When I was playing, we practiced 2 days a week, so I was able to do other things. Or many of the pre-Title IX women played multiple sports too. But now you just can't do that. So I guess that's one advantage of having been pre-Title IX. I could do several things.
And during those years, as going to school and only practicing 2 days a week, School of Nursing, graduate 1977, and spent 43 years as a nurse.
Yes.
And critical care nurse
yes.
at that.
Oh, love it. Yes.
Yeah, so we can't thank you enough for all the service that you've done in that field, and then on the other field is for the Eye Association.
Well, thank you very much. I love it. My grandmother, who came to IU, she went to Earlham for 2 years, and here was at IU for 2 years. Grandma was volunteering.
We're about to get interrupted. Thank you, Linda. We'll have
You're next.
So, and my mom volunteered, so it was just something that I watched my family do, and
This
Here
will
we
save
go.
you on
Scrolling
graphics.
across the bottom of the.
Yes.
It's scrolling across the bottom of the.
So tell me about some of the commonalities, but were there differences in your experience versus Linda's? And we're going to ask her the same thing.
I know. Yes, I would think so. Just because we lived in different dorms, I was in Reed, which was kind of the music school dorm. So my friends were music majors, and I did live in the dorm for 2 years. Then I went to Indianapolis, and then I came back down here, and then back to Indianapolis. Because you could not get your 4-year degree. You couldn't get your bachelor's degree, finish it up here in Bloomington. So yes, our experiences were different. Plus, Linda played 2 sports. And, I think that's the thing. We're 4 years apart in age, and so you have that age difference, too, that you make your own way. So, but I remember coming down here when she was here when I was a senior in high school, and I think I had already decided to come to Indiana, but it was like, okay, yeah, this could be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Turned out it was.
It was. Yes, it was.
Let's talk about those years that you spent here at Indiana. What's your best memory of being on the basketball team, and then also we'll talk about the Red Steppers as well. What made you do both?
Well, it was I had taken dance lessons throughout my life growing up.
Right.
And when I came in the summer for the freshman orientation, there was a sign up for a new dance team that the Marching 100 was going to form. So I signed up for that and then tried out the first week that you come before school starts, and was fortunate enough to make the Red Steppers. And then back in that time, as far as when you played sports, over in what I call the Hyper Building, it's now what, the recreational something. It's a different name than Hyper.
It'll always be the Hyper Building to us.
Right.
Yeah, it was the Hyper when I was here. It was always the Hyper.
So the Hyper Building, they put a sign up on one of the bulletin boards. Do you want to try out for basketball? So my roommate, my freshman year, she also tried out for basketball, so we were on the team together, which made it nice because we practiced for basketball. We practiced from 6 to 8 in the evening on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I had Carl Zacher ask me one time, "Where was your locker?" And I went, "What locker?" And he said, "Well, where did you take a shower?" And I said, "We walked back to the dorm and took a shower." And he's like, "In the wintertime all sweaty?" And I said, "Yeah, in the wintertime all sweaty." But yes, being on the team with Carol was very special. I will say I did sit the bench, got the splinters in my behind, but Tara Vanderveer was on our team also, so it would be Carol and I and Tara, and you could tell Tara knew how to coach back then. I actually did some extra practicing, and the next week she said to me, "You've been practicing, haven't you?" And it was like, "Yeah, I have. Yeah,
Pretty good endorsement there, right?
Yes.
That's some affirmation.
Yes.
No kidding.
So it always comes back to what, 9 sports at the time,
Yes.
1 set of uniforms, and a budget of $150. And every one we've ever visited with from those days, including some of the field hockey pioneers that we talked to previously, talk about the same thing. We did it because we loved it.
Right. We did, and it was a pure love for the sport. You're exactly right. Because I was sitting on the bench, you know what? I wasn't getting anything. I could have quit, but that just wasn't. We loved the sport. We loved to, you do love to practice. I mean, you're playing your sport and everything. So you're exactly right. It is a pure love of the sport. And I will mention a story after Title IX came in, and when the Eye Association started the Grotke Awards, we had previous coaches on, were some of the first recipients. And Miss Cummins was the golf coach. And I know Linda played for Miss Cummins. And she talked about after Title IX, they gave them socks for the golf team. And at the end of the year, they said, "Well, we want our socks back." And she went, "No, you're not getting your socks back."
Wanted socks back.
Yes, they did. Yes.
And one of the things that we're reminded of every year is that the movement that became the AIAW,
Yes.
the national governing body until the early 80s, started right here at IU.
Yes, it
with,
did.
With people like Leanne Grotke.
Yes.
And that changed everything. And
Yes.
so the roots of it are right here in Bloomington on campus.
Yes.
And then you had Bill Orwig, who was willing to, well, you talk about it. What was he, move it over into athletics?
Right, yes. And what a wonderful thing, at least to get women over into athletics, to get that camaraderie. I am always struck, even starting with the 25-year I winners that come back. And the men and the women, they're, "Oh, yeah, I remember you were in this sport." So at least starting into the 80s, they were together, they were integrated, and they knew each other, and that is very heartwarming to see. And I will say this, when I go to men of my age, athletes of my age, the men, they'll say, "I didn't know we had a women's basketball team." So, but it is what it is, and I'm proud that because there were women like me who wanted to play, and we didn't care if we had to pay to play. And there were women and men. I mean, you know, Senator Birch Bayh was certainly one of the founding people. There were men and women who said, why can't these women at least get something, you know, as opposed to having to pay for everything.
Right.
So.
Right. And they started with socks, right?
Yeah. They did.
Tell me now. I would not be doing my job if I didn't ask you. How has the red stepper boot evolved over time? You were what was the first one? Because they've been of different lengths over the years.
Now the main question: do you still have?
No, I actually gave them to the Marching 100 so they could give it to Red Steppers behind me. So we bought at that time, because it's 1972, you had go-go boots.
Right.
And I don't know if it was Karen Bailey, our choreographer, or Fred Ebbs was the director of bands. They did find the boots, and so we ordered our boots. There was a period of time, maybe in the 90s, they could not find the high boots, and that's when they went to the cowboy boot. I'm sorry, I still personally would rather see them in the go-go boots. So, yes, that is how. And I'm trying to think. So the Red Steppers, we did not even have a name. So the group, after like the first week of practice, it was, what's our name going to be? And I think Karen Bailey wanted the Crimson Cuties or something, and all of us were like, oh, no, we don't
You
like
had
that.
also been varsity athletes, so you kind of were beyond that type of thing, right?
Right. And so, you know, it's like we just kicked around names and came up with the Red Steppers. And I don't remember if we wanted the red boots or if Karen Bailey and Fred Ebbs, but I think that was just as part of the uniform to have the red boots.
And of course, not just the Red Steppers, the Red Steppers.
That's right.
An iconic group, and remembered by so many, and not even in the athletic realm, but anyone who comes to IU is
That's right.
fortunate to.
And we're looking forward to watching you out there with them on that weekend.
Homecoming, we're going to be the halftime program.
Have
in
they
different
sent you
decades.
the video yet?
They have, they have. So I've looked at it a little bit. So.
That's right. You got
and
some
I'm
work
doing
to
my
do.
stretches. Yes, I'm doing my stretches, but I can still get my leg up here. So
Go. We'll all take plenty of pictures like before.
That's right. That's right. But always, not lastly, but also wanted to talk about the legacy endowment that you and your sister started, which is the Linda C. Battorf and the Teresa K. Battorf Fancher Family Legacy Endowment in the Women's Excellence Initiative.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Started that in 2021.
Yes.
Explain what that is.
So what that is, Scott Dolson, when he became athletic director, apparently in his interview, he said he wanted to really elevate women's athletics at Indiana University. When he was chosen, he started what's called the Women's Excellence Initiative, and brought in Ann Crawford, who had been with the varsity club many years ago and actually was at a school south in another state. And Ann came back to lead the fundraising. And what this is, this money goes directly to women's athletics. I mean, there's always, you have COVID and pandemic, so things can change just a little bit. But that's the Women's Excellence Initiative. So this past summer, volleyball went to Europe and played, and they received money from the Women's Excellence Initiative to do that. They are putting in new docks. So the money from this is in addition to the budget that they have, so it's for extra things. So this way, women are able to donate directly to their sport. As opposed to the varsity club that supports all 24 sports equally.
Right.
So this is extra money. Linda was looking, she initially wanted to do a scholarship. So Linda was going to do a Zoom call, and she's like, well, Ann Crawford's going to be on there. And I said, you'll love Ann. And Linda said, well, why don't you get on the call? And it was, okay, I'll get on the call. And Linda was thinking about a scholarship, but she and I talked, and she said, but I'd like to do leadership. And I said, well, with the Women's Excellence, we can actually say we want to do leadership. And I wanted to do community service because in my position as president of the Eye Association, I'm on some committees, and I'm able to see these athletes who do things with their own time and had maybe a little bit of money. It's like, oh my gosh, the sky's the limit. And, of course, had to with an endowment, you discuss money. And then it was, well, can we do this together? And so Anne would go and talk to somebody, and it was, yes, you can do this together. And then we'd say, okay, well, we would like it to be leadership and community service. Can we do that? And she would go and talk, say, yes, you can. And so that is how it started.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's just unbelievable. So.
Well,
yeah.
thank you. It's, fortunate to be able to, and I will say this live, my 2 sons are great. And if I thought they would need any of this money, I would not be. But they are good. They are good citizens. And so it's, I can leave some to IU and feel comfortable that my kids aren't going to be.
Well, so you are a picture of not only a lifetime of service, but servant leadership. And we appreciate so much what you do for us. You keep us entertained. You keep us encouraged. And it's just been a pleasure serving on the board with you. And there's more.
Wow.
This will just grow. And without leaving the Women's Excellence part of it, we were in attendance at the Women's Excellence Symposium,
yes.
which I thought was not only informative, but also inspiring. And just
yes.
the people who came back and seeing the programs. The field hockey team came as a group, and there were
yes.
other student athletes there.
Right.
Just the way they approached that, just to how impactful this is going to be. We happen to sit in on an NIL session, and just what it looks like for the opportunities that these athletes have now. And knowing, it was very interesting. I think one of the things that was said was that if you take out football, because to equalize the numbers, 52% of NIL money right now is going to females. And that was a number that kind of, it also spoke to the social media influence and all the name, image, and likeness stuff.
Right.
And it really is it's a mind-blowing opportunity compared to where we were just a few years ago.
Right, it is. And it's very gratifying to see how women's sports are embraced now. It's okay to want to play sports, as opposed to when I was growing up. And, my family was fine. My New Haven was fine with that. But you listen to some of these women, and they were ostracized a little bit for wanting to be an athlete. And now nobody thinks about ostracizing a female athlete. They embrace that, and that is wonderful. One thing real quick, what I like to do as a pre-Title IX person, I've had the opportunity to be around the current athletes, and they'll say, oh, what'd you do? I said, well, I played basketball, and I played when we paid to play. And their faces, they cannot comprehend that.
Right.
And especially this university treats their athletes equally, so it isn't that the men do not get more than the women do here. And they just can't fathom that. Really? You had to...
Yeah, you had to pay.
Yes, you had to
play.
pay for your hotel. You bought your meals, and yes.
Yeah, we're happy where it is today. Let's put it
yes,
that way.
I am too.
Very happy
I am
where
too.
it is
It's
today.
wonderful, yes.
But probably the last question I
Yes.
have, and I don't know about Kurt, but Leanne Grotke Award last night. What's that mean to you?
Oh, my gosh. Leanne was such a pioneer in bringing women's athletics to where we are now. I mean, and it's such an honor. And the women that have received this award before me, to be included with them, it's pretty speechless. It is such an honor. At least, as I said last night, it's like, oh man, I'm like, you talk to me, I'm like, gee, I think I'm gonna cry, and they say, yeah, you probably will. But to be included in that group, it means the world to me. One of the proudest moments of my life. So.
And it's equally as impressive that they all come back.
Yes.
The past recipients.
Yes.
I don't know how many we had in the room,
Right.
but there were so many people who come
Yes.
back because of the significance of it.
Yes. It's a great honor, and you two people epitomize what the Eye Association Board is all about too, and doing this on your own time, and you make the Eye Association Board such a great organization and such a joy to serve on. So, kudos to you two also.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
But Kurt, any other questions?
No, I just want to know what Linda's going to say to
That's
talk
right.
about
We
your
gotta
childhood.
we got to get her
Oh,
on
I'm
here.
sure she'll. Yes.
That's right. But thank you so much
You're
for everything
welcome.
that you've done, for being with us here, past Eye Association president, and everything that you've done for Indiana University. We appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And we're going to take a break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. And again, everybody, welcome back here to iAssociation Live.
Oh, yeah, put that thing out there.
Oh, yeah, it's got Liberty Bowl.
And Joe Huff.
How we doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
Hold on, let me pull out your bio here. There we go here. 1989 graduate. Let's see. I highlighted a bunch of stuff. Outside linebacker, defensive end for Coach Bill Mowrey.
Yes.
Awesome. Played in the 1987 Peach Bowl, recording 5 sacks and 11 tackles for loss. Let's see, senior season 1988. Played in the Liberty Bowl, won over South Carolina. Had 11 sacks and 19 tackles for loss while earning all Big Ten and third-team All-American honors. That's awesome.
Yes. Awesome
Defensive MVP of the coldest night in the history of Memphis, Tennessee, probably.
Yeah, very, very, very cold. The Liberty Bowl, yes. I got my hat here, see?
Yeah. It's
South
we got it right here on
Carolina 10, Indiana University 34, Liberty Bowl champs.
I'd love if you would summarize. You told us a lot about not only how you got from Castle High School to IU, but beyond that, how and what that early experience with Coach Mal was like. The stories were great last night. Just share a little bit of that, if you will, just the essence.
My intention was I thought I was going to go play at Ohio State for Earl Bruce, and my high school had a very successful high school run. My junior year, we won state at Castle High School in Newburgh, Indiana, and my senior year, we were ranked #1 the whole year. And we're projected to win state, naturally being ranked #1. But we had gotten beat by a team from Bloomington, Bloomington South. And we were 122-0 since 4th grade, never losing a game.
Oh my God.
And we had kicked a field goal with 2 seconds to go up by 2 with 2 seconds to go in the game. And we squid kicked the ball down the field, kind of like the Cal State game. I don't know.
Stanford, yeah.
The same thing. Band cheerleaders all on the field. We think we're winning the game, and somehow the running back ran it all the way into the end zone. They gave him the touchdown. So that was my only loss in high school. But prior to that, I had gone to camp at Ohio State and had the coaches really looking at me to play defensive back, and got to know Chris Spielman, their All-American linebacker, and got into a very good relationship with him and wanted to go to Ohio State. At that time, the recruiting wasn't done like it is today. You went by newspapers. You didn't have the internet. You couldn't look up kids and see who they were. And they had chosen a kid out of Cleveland, which kind of disappointed me. So I was kind of heartbroken and didn't really know where I wanted to go. And then my decision to go to another school was looking at Kentucky, Illinois, but never Indiana, for the simple reason we got beat by Bloomington South. But I also, my track team was ranked #1 in the mile relay, and at Bloomington North over here had the regionals, and I was the first leg and ran the first leg. And, as I said last night, I got disqualified because they said my butt was too big or in the way of somebody else, and I knocked the guy next to him, and we got disqualified. So my experience with Bloomington at the time was not very good. And never went to Indiana, never went to IU. So I woke up, my mom had me in the car, and the route was Bloomington to Columbus, Ohio. My mother comes in, and Bill Mallory had been the new coach, and had only had a couple weeks to recruit. And my mom comes in, barges into his office, basically demanding to speak to the coach, and I'm behind him, and pretty much said, "Hey, you want this kid or not? This kid is a player. You guys missed this one. You guys really missed your opportunity here. Do you want him or not? Or if not, we're leaving." That was it. That was my mom. And of course, Coach Mallory at that time was new, didn't know anybody. She said, "Sure, we'll take him." And then, I got put back out on the field that day, meaning I got dropped off. And this was my home. Loved the campus. It was beautiful, but I didn't know anything about Indiana. Knew it was a basketball school, but not football. So I had gone from a winning tradition in high school to being dropped off here and not knowing Coach Mallory or IU. And long story short, I ended up, playing as a freshman, ended up a spot playing for Coach Mallory that year, and he gave me a scholarship that year. After we got beat by Ohio State that year, Ohio State came back to me and said, "Hey, we missed on you. The kid that we wanted didn't make it, and like to have you next year." So I had an opportunity to still go back to Ohio State, but I stayed here with Coach Mallory, and it was a great experience because our first year. You talk about an experience going 0-11, as I said last night. Nobody cheers or claps for a 0-11 team. There is no record book for 0-11 who said you're one of the worst teams ever. But the interesting thing about Coach and to get a winning spirit, my last 2 years, we won 8 games each year, ranked in the top 20, which is at that time was the most wins ever by 2 teams in a football history. It might still be. And that's back when we had 11 games, not 12 as they do today, because that would probably put us at 9 wins with the teams they play,
Right.
The easier teams. So to transition from the worst team in the Big Ten to gaining respect from the other teams in the Big Ten was kind of remarkable. And our goal when we went out after that season to transition, our goal was to beat every Big Ten school, every single one of them. Because if you go 0-11 or 0-11, your next goal is, can I beat everybody that beat us? And that when we did. In my junior year, we beat Ohio State and Michigan the same season, and then we did beat Ohio State really bad my senior year, 41-7. And we had a run at the Rose Bowl, and I always, I'm not the kindest guy beating up on Michigan State when we played them, but we had beaten them a few years in a row. But my senior year to play for the Rose Bowl was different because that was a team that knew, in my mind, really cheated, and that's the one that was in Sports Illustrated. They came out that they were, in my mind, not human. They were on steroids. That was the biggest steroid team ever. And a coach by the name of Nick Saban was their defensive coordinator, not trying to throw Alabama on the bus or him, but that was the hardest thing to swallow because our goal and our pride, as I mentioned, with guys like E.G. White and Harold Morrow that had played for the Rose Bowl, that your ultimate goal was to play for the Rose Bowl. We didn't get to that ultimate goal, and we fell short. Not that I'm trying to blame the Bloomington South ref or Michigan State and all these things that happened bad, but at the end of the day, when you take something that was so bad as we were to a place that you won, and you're not really a known football school, you got to have a leader. And Coach Mallory, his as I said, his rival was not Purdue or Kentucky; it was always Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we had some success my junior and senior year against him, because he emphasized the importance of that game. Did I say too much to you?
No, not at all. That was great. That was great.
We've talked many times with Mike Wilcox about that night and that week prior to the South Carolina game. Coach Mallory, and you shared a couple of stories last night about how the fact that he played in your heads, he got you seeing things a little bit differently and toughening you up a little bit. The first week in Memphis, I understand, was very different than the second week as far as the weather.
As I remember, it was a beautiful week playing. I mean, it was, you try to have some fun at bowl games, and you got to get some work in, because you ultimately, when the game starts, you want to win the game. I think at that time that after that Michigan State game I mentioned, I think our team kind of woke up. We beat Purdue that year 52-7, probably the best football that I've seen, honestly, since I've been going to the games and been associated with IU football. But that team was locked and loaded and focused, and we won that game 34-10 against South Carolina. But if you want to talk about on cue and ready to play, and we could have played anybody in the country at that time, I really think Indiana football after that Michigan State game is when we kind of woke up. Coach did a great job by letting us have fun as a senior group in Memphis, but to be honest with you, Memphis is not a place I'd want to go vacation. You wish if you would have won one more game, we could have been in Florida or out west, and that's how close we were, right? We were one game away from the Nice Bowl, and but the weather shifted. It was the coldest game that I ever played in, and what was ironic is our defense at that time knew it was going to be cold. And usually you have an undershirt on and wear your socks. We chose to go out in style where we didn't wear our socks or our undershirts, where we knew it was going to be freezing and the elements were going to be against us. So we chose to underdress instead of overdress, just to kind of get our mindset, as Coach Mallory would say, we had our jaws locked, ready to go. And I'm sure people thought we were weird that we weren't like having the old sweatshirts and the things over our head. We chose to go light. And I think that kind of mentality and thought process as you're mentally trying to play in the game makes you differently focused, and it makes you better focused because you're not really worrying about the elements. They're not a problem. Right. And we performed. I mean, we really kicked the crap out of them, which was beautiful because that South Carolina team was ranked in the top 10 most of the year. So it was a good season, and I think, I wish we would have had more games after that, because that Michigan State game, after we knew that we didn't play our best and we could have done better, I think we could have challenged anybody in the country.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's one question I've always wanted to ask an outside linebacker. What's the one hit you remember putting on somebody?
That's a great question.
I'm sure there's more than
I think,
just one.
As I said last night, I think the best hit I ever had, which I can't really remember it, was Ohio State. Being a freshman and undersized, is I hit Keith Byers, who was the running back for Ohio State. And as I said, he had thighs as big as a sumo wrestler. And I remember hitting him and just bringing him down a success and a great feat. But I remember that was probably one of my best hits, but I got knocked out. So I don't really remember it. So I can't really say that. But I would say probably my best, one of my best tackles was probably against Michigan, where they were kind of back-to-back the year we beat Michigan, where I blitzed in and got the quarterback one play and then turned around and got the running back the next play. Those are probably my most recognized and well-known tackles in a row.
Beyond being a part of one of the great eras in IU football, and certainly for Coach Mallory, talk about your service to IU afterward. And initially you went into the business world, and then what brought you back to service to IU?
Well, I think I was very at the time, as you get done playing your whole life and your career, you're like, what do you do after you're done? And I chose to go to get my master's in sports marketing and management here at Indiana University. Was fortunate to get in the school because they only took 30 kids at the time and only one person from Bloomington. Might have got some pull from Coach Mallory getting in, I'm sure. But during that time, he also hired me to work for him as his administrator, as director of football operations for him, which I was very pleased and fortunate to do that. It's been a couple years doing that, and Coach wanted me to, had the opportunity to want to be a coach, and really didn't want to get a coach. Then I was looking at administration. At the same time, he helped me out at Ball State. I was in the final for the assistant job there, and then I withdrew because at that time that's when they had a transition of doing the satellite TV show, and I got into sales with Bill Armstrong selling the Bill Mallory show in Evansville, South Bend. Instead of just doing it in Indy, we traveled around the state of Indiana. Traveling around with Bill Armstrong and selling was that there is no degree for that. There is no there's nothing you can learn better than that.
Right.
So I learned from Bill Armstrong, and then I had a heart to heart with Coach. I loved selling his TV show more than anything, and did a couple of the TV broadcasts with Don Hines and it was Don Hines and Dave Calabro when we played Kentucky and Purdue. I do the TV shows with him. So I was with Coach Mallory during that time frame and selling the show, but then started working for the alumni office. It's a great balance. But then, as Coach was let go, kind of lost my interest of ever wanting to be an athletic director or be in administration. I wanted to be in the private sector, and I loved the selling component of it, and learning from Bill was a tremendous thing that was taught to me.
And talk, if you will, about your involvement as an alumni and your involvement as far as the entire program, Alumni Association. What do you still carry out those relationships?
Yeah, I think two things. One, my family. As I mentioned last night, I started analyzing my family. When I say my family, my wife's family, the Hipskins. And if you go by their immediate family, even though my mother-in-law and father-in-law did not go to Indiana University, they went to Ball State. Reading my father-in-law, everything he's done here, from running the hearing clinic and head of audiology, a dean of the graduate school, and he had 10 things on his list. And then my mother-in-law worked for Max Gervin for many years at the Alumni Association. Then Heidi Dolson, a long list of all her directorships jobs at the Alumni Foundation, varsity athletic department. And then I looked at Scott Dolson. His long list, now the athletic director, and losing Andy, who was the chief medical officer, head doctor here for athletics here, and then my wife was a IU clinical dietitian, and Andy's wife, was a nurse practitioner. We just had a whole long list. So naturally, I'm going to still be involved with Indiana University, with my family heavily involved, but. I once I got out in the world and loved to sell, I got into the development of the revenue cycle in the hospitals and how their software works, and I was always kind of intrigued on how the insurance companies, the billing, and everything happened with hospitals, and wanted to really know that area, and got into it, and was fortunate to eventually meet a gentleman that was nationally known that let me in. His office, but of course he didn't want to talk about any of that. He wanted to talk about IU because he was an IU fan. So that kind of helped me get into the world of the business world. But I didn't have the easy go as Bill Armstrong did, because he's out selling, a product or a name in Bill Mallory that's associated with Indiana University. And as I mentioned, Bill was good at always saying, hey, can I get the check today, or can I get the business today, or give it to me today? But he had the backing is, if you say no, you're saying no to Indiana University. When you're out on your own, you don't have that. There is no.
That's right.
So I had to learn real quick. I had to then go back to my skills of being a walk-on and 0 and 11. How do you win? So I think the simple rule in the world is, they always say, you keep after, you'll finally get there. But you got to be smart how you do it and how you get there. So I've been very fortunate in my life in the business world with multiple different companies and transactions, and I contributed that a lot to my learnings here in Indiana and the people that I was around.
So from the football side, Bloomington became very good to you despite the experience
Despite
at
the
Castle.
first two experiences.
But then
Right.
you married a Bloomington North grad.
That's
So
exactly right.
So he's done really well. I got to
Yes.
put a plug in for my employer right there up here on the north side.
Okay,
but he's
yeah.
done really well.
Yes, my family still. If there is no no kids or family members go to Bloomington South, they either go to North, and there is no question. So.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, I am too. And and my guys that I played with, they understand the rival. It wasn't a rival. I still just sit there and shake my head. They wore those T-shirts in the Miracle Game in Paradise, and I still see those T-shirts.
Two iconic programs, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, they weren't iconic. They got lucky. I don't want to badmouth the refs or anything, but we got screwed.
Joe, a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much
Okay.
for taking the time.
All right, thank you.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
the Clevenger.
All right, appreciate it.
everything.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
on.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes.
Honcho.
That's right, and welcome back, everybody, to Eye Association Live. Have current Eye Association President Stacy Hughes. Thanks so much for taking the time. How about over there? Yeah, right there.
And
Thank
morning,
you very
everyone.
much.
Yeah. And wonderful job last night at the Grotke and Clevenger and Orwig awards ceremony.
You're so sweet.
It was very, and that's just, and everyone we've talked to since even last night said the family atmosphere is second to none. Why is that? Why, in your eyes and your experiences with this place, why? What makes it like that?
Well, I believe, as both of you know, that when you put the name Indiana on your back and you're wearing an Indiana jersey and you're fighting for the cream and crimson day in and day out, and you're sweating during practice and working your tail off to represent the university, I feel like you come together as a group, and we now, as our team, we know what we're going through, and now we know what other sports and their athletes are going through, and so there's just a mutual respect and understanding for what we've all done, and so it just brings us together so tight that I don't think there's anything other that can be. I don't know.
The impressive part is how many, like we talked with Brian and Terry and everyone else, how many people come back year after year for that ceremony because it means something to them, because the whole group, the collective, means so much, and that's impressive. And you try to explain it. It doesn't happen everywhere else. It happens here and it happens in select few places. But thank you for being a part of it. Your background, tell the folks what brought you to IU, why, and your experience.
Well, I was in high school in the 80s, and, Indiana basketball. Well, I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and so Indiana basketball was, everybody was watching that, on television, and I was a volleyball player, and I had, the prospect of playing volleyball in college, and I didn't care. I wanted to go to Indiana. I wanted to play volleyball for Indiana, and that's what I wanted to do. So I went to the Indiana volleyball camp before my junior year, and I had spent a week with the coach watching me play. And then my senior year, he came to do a visit, and he offered me the scholarship. And, I had letters and invitations for visits other places, but I didn't care.
Right.
I just wanted Indiana University. I just wanted to wear that red and white.
I was the same way. I don't think I applied to another college. I was just Indiana all the way, whether I was playing a sport or not. So.
Yes. So, but you know what? What I think, sometimes we'll reflect on our lives and think, was that the right decision? Should I have really opened my eyes to look at another university? And I can unequivocally say that I made the right decision, because this is my home state. I was born here. I will die here. I love Indiana. I love being able to come over to participate in these events. I still love red like nobody's business, so there's no other decision, and it was the right decision for my life. So if anyone out there is, on the fence, is Indiana for me, I'm going to tell you right now it is, because there's that sense of family and, just the environment. This environment right now, everyone is so happy.
That's
and
right.
we're so excited, and it's a beautiful day. Like I don't know where I'd rather be in my life right now.
Yeah, you can see on the screen they got Assembly Hall in the background. They got Memorial Stadium on the other side. It's just a great place.
And it's not raining.
And it's
good.
not raining like it was last week.
Wait,
And to plug the leadership of Scott Dolson, and we've all talked about Scott, how intentional he is about including 24 sports, one team. He inherited that, but he embodies that. He really does. The whole thing is, and the emphasis on women's athletics. We spoke with Terry earlier about the Women's Excellence Symposium, and just the fact that was so impressive, seeing what's out there, opportunities, but also seeing student athletes there taking it all in. And that was your take on that. That's
I think change is always, well, I don't know if it's difficult for others, but as I get older, change is more, it's harder to manage. And I thought Fred Glass was amazing. Look at, he brought the IU volleyball team from 10th and the bypass to campus with the wrestling facility. He brought the softball team here. All of these beautiful Indiana limestone facilities, all of the athletes right here. I thought, man, how could you top someone like Fred Glass? And then they bring in Scott Dolson, and he creates the Women's Excellence Initiative. And I'm like, we just keep getting, it just keeps getting better and better and better. And I it almost brings tears to my eyes how proud I am of the decisions this university has made over the years with the leadership in this role. So I'm so grateful for Scott.
That's pretty good.
That's really
a great message. Because
and you're going to roll into that as the association president
yeah.
and just continue on and do great things.
It's a wonderful time to be
we
here.
appreciate your enthusiasm, just the passion for it shows, and your influence is great. So.
Well, I have to say that having you guys on the board and what you're doing here, the Hoosier Athlete Network that you contribute content to is phenomenal, and the fact that you volunteer your time to promote Association events and talk with our award winners. I'm a heartfelt thank you for everything that you're doing and promoting this.
Well, you're very welcome. We enjoy it. I think we do, right?
Yeah, you look like you do. You guys.
We're going to get one today. Prediction today.
Yes.
Big
In
win?
fact,
Okay.
it's good. It's good. No, I shouldn't say it. It's going to be a rout.
Okay, it's going to be a route.
We're going Bush
Okay.
League.
Okay.
One thing that Coach Deal said, it was a good week of practice.
Oh,
So
I love that sound.
that's all he said to me. He said it was a good week.
Oh,
So-
yeah. And the music out there, you know, you
Oh,
can
you
just
know
see
it.
everybody's getting stoked
Getting
and
loose.
ready
That's
to.
right.
Mhm,
That's
it's gonna
right.
be a great day.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for everything that you've done for Indiana and the Eye Association
Same to
and,
you.
and all that. So
Same
we
to you,
appreciate
man.
it. All right.
Yeah,
We'll
let's
take
do
a
that.
break.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Stacy.
We'll take a break. We'll be
Appreciate you.
right back with the next
Bye.
guest.
Have a good one. Thanks, guys. That was fun.
And welcome back here to Eye Association Live, and got another award winner from last night, 1982 graduate men's basketball player Randy Whitman. Randy, thank you so much for
Well, thanks
for
for
taking
having
the time.
me. Yes, great to be here.
Yeah, it's I don't know if you want to go over your resume here, but I've got it here.
Do we have enough airtime for that?
Do we have enough? Member of 3 Big Ten men's basketball championship teams, 1981 NCAA championship team. Ranks 15th in program history with 1,549 points. As a senior in 1983, earned Big Ten MVP and All-American honors, and was the 22nd pick in the 1983 NBA draft. It's quite the resume.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, like I kind of talked about last night, it's I'm not very good at talking about myself. There's a lot of things that went into what I was able to accomplish here, and memories are great. Last night was a wonderful event, one that I'll remember for a long time, but a lot of people behind the scenes put me in a position to be able to do what I was able to do, not only here, but then for 35 years in the NBA as a player and as a coach. So very humbled by this award and coming back. It's always good to come back here. I haven't lived in the States since 1992, so, but I've got family here. My mom and dad are still alive, 90 years old, and a brother and a sister, so we get back here as much as we can.
That's awesome. That's awesome, and really close with Coach Woody.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I think somebody told me you're on staff, now
Yeah,
as a consultant.
I'm doing some consulting. I mean, Woody and I go way back. Obviously from our time here at IU, but then in the NBA. He was my first hire when I got the head coaching job in Cleveland. He was the first guy I called to see if he would join my staff, and he came and joined me there. And then the rest is history with what he's been able to do, not only here at IU, but in his career in the NBA. And
Right.
as I said, he's doing great things. I mean, he got us back in the tournament last year. I was at practice here the last couple of days. Love the team that I'm seeing. I think we're much better than we were last year, and I think there's great expectations, but you want those kind of things, and I think we got a chance to be pretty good.
Good.
Well, allow me to geek out for a moment, if I want. As a kid who was not back to Bloomington after being born here, we moved around for a while, not coming back to Bloomington, just entering high school, watching you guys, and then being last night able to be at a table adjacent with you and Coach Woodson and Ted Kitchell. And so that's a special thing for me, because watching your teams as I grew up into the game and learning the game, I was decent, but I wasn't great at all, but knew when it came time to know what I wanted to do, eventually, and I got that chance to come back to Indiana and be a very minuscule part of the program as a student manager and the coach.
Sure.
It's a big deal to be just part of this family, and the folks at your table last night had such a big deal on, and I appreciate what makes it Indiana.
Yes.
We can say it all we want, but the values and for an early exposure to it, in the Far West Classic 1978 with Coach Woodson on the floor, playing Magic Johnson in Portland. That has stayed with me. That is why and I've grown up child of IU alums, and so we all followed every day, every step of the way. But to be a small part of the family is an honor and a privilege. So I'm just thrilled to death to be sitting here with you and hear your story.
Thanks. And by the way, we lost to Magic three times that year.
Yeah,
Portland, and then twice in the Big Ten regular season. But well, thank you. Those are. And as I mentioned last night, I mean, this university is special in terms of. Doesn't matter if you're an athlete, football, basketball, whatever sport, but as I mentioned, our doctors and people that are involved here that stay here for a lifetime. And you see, I've been to a lot of different universities, different places, and people bounce around. I'm going to stay here for 5 years. I'm going to go try something else in 5 years. I mean, we have people here that get here and never leave, and that says something, not only about the university and the loyalty to people that want to work here and want to give parts of their life here, they stay here, and you don't see that everywhere.
And one thing I want to point out, it's about to get loud. Okay,
here comes the marching band.
The band's going to walk right here.
I love it.
Right here, but go ahead, Kurt.
If you would. Touch on, and it's been well documented, your efforts, among others, to get Coach back here. And talk about what that meant. And
well, that was we've been trying to do it for a number of years. You know, as you know, at the basketball games, they honor a certain team, and whether it's the 76 national championship team after 30, 35, 40, 45 years, the 87, the 81, the different Big Ten championships. We've been trying to get Coach back here. Each time one of our teams were being honored, we would call Coach and say, Coach, you need to be back here with us. And he would, no way, I'm not doing it. And finally, they were going to honor the 1980 Big Ten championship team, and I came home from playing golf, and I told my wife, well, if I'm going to try it, and she's like, why do you put yourself through this? Well, he's just going to tell you, no, he's not going to do it. He's not going to be a part of it. And lo and behold, I called him, and ironically, Kurt, and I think the thing that really set it off, this was just as he moved back here to Bloomington, from Lubbock. And he and Karen moved back here, so I kind of broke the ice with him. I'm like, well, how's Bloomington treating you? And Coach said, you know what, it's the greatest thing Karen and I did is moving back here to Bloomington. I have all my doctors here. I have all my friends that are still here. We are just loving it. And I said, Coach, you know why that is? And he said, no, why? I said, because that's where you belong. You are Indiana. And I said, I'm calling also. I said, you know, in 3 weeks, they're going to honor the 1980 Big Ten championship team. And I think you need to be there with us. And there was a long pause. And at first I thought he hung up on me. You know, here we go. And he came back and he said, are all you players going to be there? And I said, I will guarantee you that we'll have everybody there from that team. I said, listen, Coach, we didn't come to Indiana University for the schooling. Now, don't get me wrong. It's great. I got a great education here, part of a master's degree. And I said, we didn't come here for the Kelly Business School. We came here because of you and to play for you. So you not being here with us doesn't make it whole. And he says, if you get all those players from 80 team back there, I'll come. And I immediately got off the phone and called Scott Dolson, different people, Quinn Buckner, Board of Trustees. Mm-hmm. I said, all right, we've got to change this 1980 championship honor that they're going to do at the Purdue halftime of the Purdue game. We got to make it everybody. We got to get everybody that has ever played with Coach Knight We got to get phone numbers, cells, emails. We got to get a mass thing out and say this is happening. And that's kind of got how the snowball thing. Now we had to keep it quiet because Coach didn't want anybody to know about it, didn't want any fanfare. The hardest thing, we got Dick Vitale because Dick wanted to do the game, and Dick and Vitale and Coach are very close. Keeping him quiet. I had to have Dick swear on a stack of Bibles that he would not say anything on ESPN radio. Leading up, I said, Dick, if you do, he's going to blow this thing up. He's not going to show up, so we got to keep it on the down low. And so that's kind of what happened. We got, I mean, if you guys were there that day, I had a lot of special moments stepping on that court, my 5 years playing there. That was the number one special moment when I went back and Coach walked out on that floor, and the rest was history. I mean, it was. I don't think if with the pandemic hitting shortly thereafter that we would have ever got him back to do it. So we were lucky. There was a lot of people involved, but I was the lucky one that got him to say yes, and I hung up immediately. So he didn't
couldn't say no, right?
It's mine, but behind the scenes, we were able to get as many as we got back there. It was a special day.
Yeah, I remember watching that on TV, and I wasn't lucky enough to be inside Assembly Hall, but I'll remember that for forever.
It was quite the thing. About an hour before the game, there was a buzz. You guys were in Cook Hall, I believe.
Yeah, we were.
Right?
We were.
But even pregame coming around, we saw a bunch of guys. It's some old managers, and saying, "Hey, he's here. It's happening." It just.
Yeah.
But for it to, like you said, for that to remain under wraps for that long was quite a thing.
Yeah, because if you think back, I mean, there was always, everybody had he's coming back for this reunion, or he's coming back, he's coming for the 76 for sure. Obviously the undefeated and his first national champion. And he doesn't show up. All right, 81, he's coming back. 87, he's coming back. There was always a rumor that he was coming back, so I think that helped in the whole thing of really kind of keeping it down. Yeah, we've heard this before. He's coming back, and he did. So that was special.
Yes, it was.
Two more things. A shout out to Shane Garman.
Yeah.
He was with you in Cleveland.
Yeah,
He was a manager with us during our day. Good guy.
Yeah.
We saw him at French Lick playing golf.
Yeah.
He played golf. I tried to swing the club. We were really bad. We got the prize for being last, therefore the most honest. So, but good memories of those guys. Not only Shane and guys like Ryan Carr, who've made careers in the NBA, but so many of those managers. I got to ask you to give a little bone to our managers. What are those guys to you?
Well, seriously, they are part of us. I mean, even while we're on the team here, I mean, the things that they do and have to do to give up their time and energy and not really ever get recognized on the floor. But that goes along. That's the family thing. Like I said, I got my first job. I brought Shane. I brought Woody. We bring these people with us. They're as much a part of what we do on that floor in Assembly Hall as anybody, and they don't get their just due. But as Woody would tell you, it doesn't matter now that he's the head coach here in college. They're instrumental and him being able to run his program the way he wants to run it. And I love it, these guys that dedicate themselves, and then I see them move on. The Lawrence Franks, who's running teams now in the NBA, and he was a coach in the NBA at one time. It's a wonderful thing.
And I'm not sure, you and I talked about this, I'm not sure if there are any numbers guys out here, but one of these analytics geeks have to give what was the head-to-head record between you and Mike Woodson
in the pros?
NBA?
I honestly can't tell you what it is. I know he was in Sacramento, and we never lost to Sacramento, so I do know that.
Thank you so much.
Hey,
Real
guys.
pleasure. Last night was special.
It was great.
I'll ask one more question.
Sure.
We'll go football. I won't talk about basketball. Prediction for today.
Well, I think it's going to be a tough game. Western's, I think, a really quality team. They've always been very solid. I know we've played them in the years past that have given us trouble. Now, I think the good thing going for us today is the Nevada or Idaho game last week. We weren't very good in the first half, and then turned it on in the second half. But I don't think they're going to overlook this team after playing Idaho the way Idaho played us. And Idaho was a very good. I mean, they had Washington State beat in week 1. Washington State goes to Wisconsin last week and beats Wisconsin. But it's hard to tell these kids. All they remember is we beat them last year 56 to 13.
Yeah.
And that's all they remember. And as a coach, you can tell them, no, this team is solid. They're really good. And then you're down 10-0 at halftime. And the kids are like, ooh, coaches were right.
That's right. That's right.
So I think he's got
amazing.
I think Coach Allen's got an easy pregame talk here today. Like, hey, Western's going to come out and try to punch us in the mouth. We got to be ready. I think we'll be ready.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for everything that you've done for
Thank
Indiana
you,
University,
guys.
the athletics, and for everybody.
Well, it's a
sphere.
family. Everybody, what you guys do for the university, obviously, is a part of all this. And none of this can happen without all of us together.
That's right.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
taking the time.
All right,
See you.
Kurt.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
And I think we'll wrap it here.
Linda hasn't come back yet. Do we have time
Well,
to
we've
grab
got
Linda?
about a half hour before kickoff.
Let me see if I can track Linda, our other Grotke Award recipient. There she is. Linda, are you next?
Oh, they're getting ready to take him to the field.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, we'll just wrap it here.
You got on camera. You came in, and we gave you. But congratulations again, and thank you.
Congratulations. You're very welcome. Thank you. That's right. Go Hoosiers. But, Kurt, thank you so much. You have a prediction for today for the football?
Well, I asked Mark Deal. I said, are we ready for the air raid? And Mark says, I hope they are. So, the ball might be in the air a little bit today, but 28-16.
I'm going 35-14.
Hope we're both right.
I hope we're both right. But, Kurt, thank you so much for doing this with me again. And thank you, all of you out there that watch this. I don't know how many have watched it live, but when you come back and watch it, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.
Next time, tailgate
not sure when. Yeah.
Penn State.
Or Michigan. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll let you know. But again, everybody, thanks so much for joining us here on iAssociation Live. Everybody have a great weekend, and go Hoosiers.